I really want to watch this. Apparently, one of the worst theories he's ever made. Again, I love Persona 4. I've played Persona 5, 5 Royal, 5 Strikers, 4 Golden, 3 Portable, 3 Reload. I've played a lot of the Persona games. I want to say like I do know quite a bit about the lore of like the Shin Megami Tensei stuff. But then again, I'm going into this theory like completely blind. I don't know what he's going to be talking about. I don't know what he's gonna say. So this will be fun. This will be fun. Let's go. That is so low, by the way. Holy. I like the Persona 5 like art style here at the start. That's pretty cool.
Today I'm covering a new franchise. Well, at least
yes,
a new
you are,
franchise
Mad
for Game
Pat.
Theory. It's actually a really old franchise.
It is pretty old. When did the first Persona game come out? It was like 1990 something. I'm not quite sure. I don't know anything about the first 2 Persona games. I know the first one is like SMT's Persona. Then you have 2 Persona 2 games. I'm pretty sure you have Innocent Sin and you have what's the other one? You have Innocent Sin and then another one. I forgot. Fake Persona fan, by the way.
Contradictory lore and a very dedicated and very protective fan base.
It
a
is.
Fan base that I have no doubt is sure to hate whatever I say in this episode, regardless of how much research I do, poking holes in the theory as a result of that.
By the way, just out of curiosity, how many dislikes does it have? 14K. Okay, it's not that bad. Okay, I thought it'd be worse, but still, like, 14K, look at that ratio. That's still not great. That's not great.
Aforementioned contradictory lore. It's also a franchise with enemies that look like this or this, where teenagers unleash their
there was one of the bosses, I think it's from Persona 2, I'm pretty sure. I've seen screenshots of it. There's just Hitler as, like, one of the enemies.
Powers by doing this. Just know that the YouTube
P3,
monetization bots are going to be all over this episode. So the bots are going to hate it, the fans are going to hate it, and
everyone's going to hate
it.
it.
Don't know the series probably didn't click on this thing in the first place, which leads to perhaps the biggest
funny
question
mustache,
about today's episode.
man.
Not so much what happened to Yu's shadow in Persona 4, but why the did I choose to do this episode?
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation. Trust me, this here was going to be a lose-lose situation. He's not going to make too much money off of it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, no matter, like, it's very hard to please all Persona fans. And from the reputation that this video has, I can tell that it didn't really go well for him. Yeah, the old intro. Dude, I used to love this intro. It was so good. Bum, 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 bum. My childhood right here. It's so loud, by the way. This was my childhood, dude. This video is like 6 years old, by the way. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
Subtitle, Glutton for Punishment. And the flagellation
Glutton
stick I'm
for
beating myself
punishment.
with today is none other than Persona, part of the Megami Tensei franchise.
Yep, it is.
That's one of the longest running in gaming history, but also one that's been
Wait, is it actually? I actually didn't know that. If that is true, I didn't know that.
under most players' radars for that same amount of time.
P3P opening.
It was until the critical acclaim for Persona 5 last year, which put
My
a big old
goat.
spotlight on this mainstay of the JRPG
My
scene.
goat.
Persona 5 from Atlas.
Mentioned in the same breath as Normie-approved giants of gaming like
Zelda Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey.
Now, for those of you who
Yeah,
haven't
it did
played
come out in
know
the
that
same
it
year,
is
didn't it?
Absolutely a worthy contender for Game of the Year. And absolutely
100%.
worth the 100 hours or so it's going to take to get through all the dungeon grinding, heart stealing, and social link building.
Okay, yeah, the first time I ever played through Persona 5, not Royal, the first time I ever played through P5, I went like quick. I went fast through the game, and it took me 86 hours to complete. It is a long game. It is a really long game.
Today, I wanted to rewind it back, all the way back a decade to 2008. Yeah, 2008 was a decade
The best
ago.
year.
To dive deep into its equally worthy predecessor, Persona 4.
P4.
In an attempt to expose the shadowy mystery lurking behind its very cute and most unbearably adorable fluffball.
No, don't, dude, please don't start with the bear puns. It was bad enough as it was already in P4 itself. Real P5 really went full out, and the whole series went global. Yeah, they put out all the stops for P5, and you can really tell.
Teddy. Now, a bit of a recap for those of you who haven't played
Okay, so he's
Persona
gonna be talking about Teddy.
Or honestly, those of you who've forgotten all the details because, like I said, it has been a decade. Sorry, I don't mean to rub it in or anything. Time affects me too, you know. Oh boy,
Does it?
do I ever know. Oh, and inevitably this video gets into spoiler territory, so
As
final
it
warning
usually
if you're
does.
planning to play this game, but somehow managed to get around to
Go
it.
go play this game. Go play Golden. Golden is really good. This game is. I played P4 right after playing P5. And then after I finished P4, I went to P5R. But go play Persona 4 Golden. It is amazing. I wasn't expecting it to be nearly as good as Persona 5. It was really good. Holy, it was so good.
Sometime in the past 10 years. To you guys, I only have 4 words.
Because I thought Persona 5 was like a special boy, you know? Oh, like the Atlas is like a one-trick pony. They pulled off this amazing game once. There's no way they can do it again. And then I played Persona 4 and I was like, oh crap, they did it again.
Spoiler alert and time management. All right, so the story of Persona
Take your
4
time.
revolves around our main character,
Yu Narukami.
From
Yes,
the anime
that is his
spin-off,
name.
and a group of high school misfits as they try to stop a serial murderer.
My
Who,
goats.
as you can see, has got some designs to die for. To solve the murders, you and the Scooby Gang, who I henceforth deem the Scooby Gang, discover something called the Midnight Channel, a Japanified version of Adult Swim that shows kidnapped victims live and on your screen, 12 o'clock Japanese time, 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock Mountain and Central. Hoping to save victims that they see on the Midnight Channel, the Scooby Gang head over to their local department store
Every day's
Great at your Junes.
to find a TV
Every
big enough to jump
day's
into.
great,
Remember,
yeah.
this was back in 2008 when not everyone had a
Hanako's
giant
awesome,
flat-screen
dude.
panel on their wall. Inside the TV world, they meet Teddy, a half-bear, half
The worst character?
Teddy is technically a shadow, defined as suppressed human thoughts given physical form. But unlike the rest of the shadows in the TV world, he seems less interested in attacking the Scooby Gang and more interested in acting as some sort of kind, cuddly tour guide. From there, the game boils down to a basic formula. Someone disappears, the Scooby Gang goes to rescue him inside the Midnight Channel, the person they went in to rescue is forced to confront the parts of their own personality that they hate the most, and after a boss fight coupled with a bit of self-reflection, they accept their shadow and gain a persona. Roll credits. And just so
Roll
we're clear,
credits,
a
yeah.
persona is just like a shadow. It's a manifestation of a person's inner thoughts, but a persona is actually tamed and trained. It's kind of like a mask for someone to use to face hardships and for
Wait. What did he say? Wait, go back.
go back. It's a manifestation of a person's inner thoughts, but a persona is actually tamed and trained.
Yeah, the shadow is a manifestation of a person's inner thoughts. I forgot what the persona was. The persona is a bit different. I'm pretty sure it was like a little bit different. I'm not quite sure. There was a different. I remember that it was a different. Yes, it's tamed and trained, but I think there was another difference as well. I'm not quite sure, but Persona 5 fan over here.
It's kind of like a mask for someone to use to face hardships, and from a gameplay standpoint, it can be called upon in battle to unleash magic powers. Now, all the main characters in the game go through this process, and I do mean everyone, even Teddy, who we learned through his social link was himself a shadow when all of this started.
I was just a shadow in that world.
He eventually faces a shadow version of himself and gains a persona of his own. Everyone goes through this process.
Except for
Everyone
Yu
except for the
Narukami.
fearless leader of the group,
Chad Narukami.
Y-U, not Y-O-U, although it is you playing as you, so you could also apply in that sentence. Sure, you gets himself a persona. In fact, he gets his first, but his just shows up right before the tutorial fight where he battles some generic enemies. He just hears a voice telling him to call forth what is within, and he gets his persona without ever having to fight a stupid-looking boss. Throughout the entirety of the game, we never actually meet Yu's shadow, and
Okay, maybe I'm just... Okay, listen, I'm gonna let the video play out.
that sent my theorist sense of tingling. It's just such an odd pattern to break. Everyone else needs to meet and accept their shadow in order to gain a persona, but you, the main character of the game, completely neglects this part of the process. But he must have a shadow somewhere, right? That is the whole point of this game.
Oh, no. Wait, oh no. Did Matt play through the game? Did he even play the game?
Coming to terms with the parts of you that you don't want to acknowledge. So then where is it?
Did he? He didn't play through the game.
Where is you?
At the very least, he didn't get to the end of the game. That lets to not spoil more than he's probably already going to spoil. He he did not get to the end of the game. He did not finish the game. Maybe he played the game. Let's not accuse the guy of too much here. Maybe he didn't finish the game. Maybe he just didn't finish the game. But just from this, he didn't play the game. He did not play the game because, listen, just from we're gonna get into spoilers. For those who have never played Persona 4, the reason why Narukami never comes to terms with his shadow and never even sees his shadow in the first place is because at the very start of the game, when you first arrive in what was it called? Inaba. Yeah, Inaba. Thank you, Eunice. Inaba. When you first arrive in Inaba, your uncle goes to pick you up, and then you stop at a gas station. There you meet the guy, and you notice a guy. You meet a guy, and you shake his hand. And at that moment, that you find out at the end of the game, that guy was Izanami, who is the final boss of the game. Izanami being the god of the dead or whatever. I'm not 100% sure, but you shake her hand, and she basically gives Narukami's persona basically like a head start. That's basically what happens. So he doesn't have to actually ever come to terms with his shadow because Izanami basically just gives him his persona pretty much. It's not exactly that, but pretty much. And that's why he doesn't ever see his persona. But I'm actually really curious where he's gonna go with this.
Use shadow. Well, I'm here today to say that it's been staring us in the face the entire
Please don't tell me he's gonna say it's Teddy. I swear to Jesus Christ.
game. That's right. What I'm proposing is that Teddy, sweet, lovable, cuddly,
no.
Teddy, is secretly Yu's former shadow.
Okay, this is stupid. That's just okay, that's just fully... Yeah, no. Okay, here we go. Chat, lock in. We're gonna be here. We're gonna start yapping. Why is this stupid, you might ask? Well, that's a good question, John. The reason why it's stupid, and I'll just give you like one example that just completely destroys this entire theory. Teddy goes into the real world. Personas don't go into the real world. Personas can only be summoned in the other world. For example, Persona 5 they can only be summoned in Mementos. In Persona 4, they can only be summoned in the Shadow World or the TV world. Persona 3, they can only be summoned in Tartarus. They cannot go into the real world. About halfway through Persona 4, Teddy goes into the real world as a human. That makes that completely just destroys this entire theory. And a shadow, Teddy's a shadow. A shadow cannot have a whatchamacallit? A persona cannot have a persona. A shadow cannot have a, well, I mean, in this case, Teddy is, but Teddy isn't exactly like a 100% a shadow. He's like the thing. Game logic. He's special. He's special. But it just doesn't work. He goes into the real world. It just doesn't work. Now you understand why everyone hates this theory? Yeah, because just like the simple fact that Teddy actually goes into the real world and he himself has a persona, he has a shadow that then becomes his persona. Just that in and of itself just like completely invalidates the whole theory. No. So yeah, pretty much. I don't think Matt played through the game. I don't think he played through the game.
At first might seem like me trying to put together pieces that don't really belong to try and retrofit an answer. We have one character.
But let's see what else he has to say.
Is missing a shadow, and we have another character who was a former shadow and has himself a mysterious backstory that he just so happens to not remember. Add the two together, stir well, and boom, you got yourself.
He has
a theory, but that's not.
Teddy has his persona.
Sure, it's definitely.
He literally said it earlier. Teddy has his own persona. A persona cannot have a persona.
Suspicious, and it's initially what got me looking in this direction, but the connection
and a shadow cannot have a persona.
Written into the very fabric of the gameplay. Let's look at the facts. In Persona 4's true end, the final climactic battle begins with you hearing the voices of people he's closest to. To use the in-game text directly, the hearts of those you form the deepest bonds with become your strength. These words of encouragement come from everyone that you've maxed out a social link with. The characters that you as the player...
Please do not tell me that if you completely skip everyone, the only person there at the end is always Teddy. Please don't tell me that that's what he's gonna say.
Most time with come to lend you their strength in his moment of greatest need. It is a beautiful sequence with even minor characters like the Shrine Fox.
This fox, I forgot the fox
To lend their
shows up.
support if you spend enough time with them. I get all emotional just watching it. But the thing is,
Do you,
don't
Matt?
make
Do
this
you
like an
really?
Antisocial a-hole. You can still get to the ending of the game without spending time with anyone at school or your family at home. In this scenario, no one will come to support you in that final battle because you failed to max out all their social links. Well, no one except for one person.
Teddy.
Bear, egg, thing. You guessed it. It's Teddy.
Okay. For those who don't know, the reason why Teddy shows up at the end is because Teddy is the only social link, is the only person in the entire game whose social link progresses with the story and not by you hanging out with him.
Yeah.
You have no choice. You have to level up his confidant, his social link to max level. The game doesn't give you a choice.
Even if you intentionally play the game like a jerk, becoming the king of turds to rule over all Turdville, Teddy's social link will always be maxed out by the end of the game.
Yeah.
You, as you, can reject everyone except for
What is
Teddy.
this inspiring music playing?
World savior without Teddy's support. The game literally won't allow
Oh
it to
my
happen. There is no
God.
separating the two. As Tom Cruise said,
You complete me.
almost like a shadow and its owner. But that's not all. One part of the game that often goes overlooked.
By the way, what was the other thing that Teddy said? There was this, I think it was a scene in the limousine. He says something like he's the he's like everyone's feelings bunched into one. He's not like just one person's shadow. He's like everyone's shadow. It was like something like that. It's been so long since I've played Pre-4, but it was something like that. He's not just one person's shadow. He is a shadow, but he's like a combination of like multiple people's shadow, like multiple people's feelings. I mean,
Is the
has been a while since I played
a
Pre-4.
place that exists between consciousness and subconsciousness, where you meets the creepy-looking Igor and his assistant Elizabeth to do things like fuse personas and get long-winded lectures about the game's themes. During our first visit to this shagadelic ride, we learned that it's a place that's only accessible to those who've received a special invitation. Quote from the game,
Only those who are bound by a contract may enter.
and in
It's the
Persona 4,
amalgamation.
the only people able to enter this room throughout the entirety of the game are you, Igor, and Igor's assistant. We never once see anyone else.
Oh, wait. I just noticed now. He's talking. Okay, so yeah, the whole thing is Persona 4 and not Persona 4 Golden, because if it was Persona 4 Golden, he would have mentioned Maria. Maria's not here.
Enter the Velvet Room. No one, at least,
No, it wasn't Maria. It was Mary. What was her name? I remember I did not like her. I'm sorry. I didn't like her personality.
except for Teddy. He seems to
I liked it
just
at first,
stumble
but
into
not
it almost
later.
as if completely by accident. And there, he and you just sit around and have a conversation. Now, remember, Teddy is a being who started off as a shadow and seems to have no real history before humans entered the TV realm. He has no connections to Igor and his contract, so it makes absolutely zero sense that he'd be able to enter the Velvet Room when no one else can.
There was something, I don't remember what they say, but there was a reason. I remember there being a reason why he was there. I don't remember what it was. This is after you defeat the god, one of the gods. Or not one of the gods, but after you defeat one of the it's like really late game. It's right before you fight Izanami. There was a reason why he's there. Nanako, big spoiler. It's after, oh yeah, no, it's before the eyeball. It's right after Nanako dies, and Teddy disappears, and then I'm pretty sure something happens, which you then go to the Velvet Room, and then Teddy's there. I think it was something like that. I'm pretty sure.
That is, unless you consider that there's something more to his identity. Remember, shadows are a part of the original person, the parts of themselves that they don't want to confront. If Teddy is Yu's shadow, that means that Teddy...
The thing is, another thing. That just doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense. Like, Teddy isn't something that Narukami doesn't want to accept, because that's another thing that all of the shadows are. It's like repressed feelings and thoughts that the person doesn't want to come to terms with accepting. They don't want to come to terms with it because, for example, one of the characters, Yosuke, for example, he has like these awful thoughts about, oh, I just wanted to save this girl because then I'd be like a hero, and not because it's like it's the right thing to do, or oh, I just wanted to save her because I'd get recognition and it seems like a fun time. I don't really care about any of these people. And like it is his feelings, but he just doesn't want to come to terms with it. Teddy Teddy has nothing to do with any of that. Teddy isn't repressed emotions or just repressed thoughts. It's just a thing. And Teddy, like, again, Teddy has his own shadow.
Teddy literally is you.
Maria's from Silent Hill. Oh, I'm dumb. Mary, that's her name, yeah.
He too would be bound by the same contract that you was under, and thus able to get inside the Velvet Room. And if that wasn't enough, what's even more interesting is that this happens at a point in the game when Teddy is beginning to question the very nature of his own identity. Coincidence? I think not. In fact, the first thing that Teddy says to you upon entering the Velvet Room is,
I've been thinking all this time who I really am.
oh really? Maybe the answer is staring you quite literally in the face. Now, just to address a counter-argument that's probably already coming, other people enter the Velvet Room in other Persona games.
Yeah.
Minato in 3,
I actually completely forgot about that.
Everyone in 2 as just some examples. But remember, the Velvet Room that we see in Persona 4 is unique. It looks like the interior of a limousine, making it physically distinct from the booth-like appearance of the Velvet Room from earlier Persona games. When Igor meets you for the first time and refers to this place being off-limits to anyone who hasn't entered into a contract with him, he's referring to that specific place, that specific Velvet Room with the limousine appearance. Notice how none of the other Velvet Rooms have that sort of contractual stipulation. So the rules of one room in a past game shouldn't necessarily apply.
I'm sorry, that's okay. It's stupid.
To the way that Persona 4's room chooses to operate. Counter-argument number 2. Teddy isn't Yu's shadow because Yu doesn't have a shadow. Yu is special. He's the chosen one.
He just didn't play through the game now, did he?
And I could totally see why you might think that. Over the course of the game...
Yeah, okay, Matt, I'm sorry, you just didn't play through the game.
Man is going insane from the yappings of the madman.
Of the madman.
Not just anyone can enter.
Listen, I'm really passionate about Persona. Again, no hate towards Matt Pat, by the way. This is all just exaggerated. But, like, it is, like... You can tell, like, he probably didn't play through the game. I can tell that, like, Matt just didn't play through the game. And, like, if you wanted to... at least this is what I think. If you wanted to play... Or not play. If you wanted to, like, make a theory off of this game, but he didn't have the time to play it, because I can understand that. The game... This is Persona 4, and it still takes about... I want to say, like, at least 60, 70 hours to beat. It's long. Persona 4 Golden is even longer. This is like, even just the original P4 is long. Like, I can understand, like, not wanting to play through the entire thing. But then again, like, there's just a lot of things that are wrong. And you can, you can tell that he did not play through the game, because there's a lot of these things that are answered in the game. A lot of the arguments that he's making are, like, answered in the final game. I'm not sure if they are in P4. Once again, I played through Golden, and Golden has extra content. But there is, like, a lot of things here that are answered in the game, but, like, I'm guessing he just didn't play through the game. That's what I think. Someone who never played Persona 4, this theory indeed makes no sense. Honestly, I would still react the same way as you if everyone talks like that towards FGO or Ruby.
TV world. As we find out, the only way that people can enter the Midnight Channel is by going with someone who's been granted this special gift from the gods. You just so happens to possess the gift. So maybe the fact that you has the...
Yeah, why is that? Because he shook hands with Izanami.
God's blessing explains why all his friends encounter their shadow in the TV world.
The only reason why everyone else can go... This is true. The only reason why everyone else can go into the TV world is because Okay, I'm actually gonna have to explain the whole game. Holy. The reason why you can go into the TV, the reason he's the one that the only one, the first guy who has the power to do so, is because again, he shook hands with Izanami, then Izanami gave him his quote unquote sort of jump started his persona, which then gave him the power to go inside. If you play through the game, you know that Izanami also gave that power to Adachi and to the other guy who you think is the main villain when you first play through the game. Izanami gave both of them that power. And that's why the characters that get God, I'm forgetting all the words. The characters that get stolen. I forgot the word for it. I'm sorry. They have the power because the guy stole them and then put them into the TV, so they have the power and then get the persona. What was the first? What was it going on about?
World, well, he never has to. It's an explanation that would make sense.
I just completely forgot what I was saying.
Have evidence directly to the contrary. You see, it's revealed that only
You, Adachi, and the fat nerd. No, not the fat nerd. The other one. The fat nerd as well. The fat nerd, apparently Izanami also talked to the fat nerd, but the other one, the guy who drives the van.
3 people have received the TV gift. You is one. The other
Nawatame, that was his name. Yeah, there he is.
The villains of the story responsible for throwing innocent victims into the TV world. And it's here that the explanation of you is special doesn't hold up, because both Namatame and Adachi have
Okay, what's his argument here?
Still have shadows who appear in the TV land.
Yes.
Namatame and Adachi both merge with their shadows when you fight them as bosses. You is one of a kind. He's a paradox. He has a persona but no shadow, and he's literally the only one who's like this. The unusual connection between you and Teddy even makes sense when you view it through the lens of the game's themes. One of the things that the Persona games love to do is
symbolism.
The idea of tarot cards.
Oh, tarot cards. Symbolism.
That's expressed in the game as a social link is represented as one of the major arcana tarot cards.
Yes.
Someone call in Miss Cleo because they're a big deal in this series. What? I don't even know what that was like.
What?
Italian mixed with fail. Call in Miss Cleo because tarot cards are a big deal in this series. And one of the things that makes the Persona games really special is the incredible attention to detail in the way that the game matches different characters and social links to arcana that parallel their attributes. Use arcana at the top of the game is the Fool. Which represents innocence, divine inspiration, madness, freedom, spontaneity, inexperience, chaos, and creativity.
For those who never played a Persona game, it's also the same reason why the protagonists of all of the games can use multiple personas. Again, not all the games. Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5. Again, haven't played the other games.
In nearly every regard, he's the embodiment
because the Fool can act as any one of the tarot cards, pretty much.
A blank slate. Now, if the player reaches the true end, use
I've played Balatro, as you can see.
Ascends to the world arcana, a
Zawaru, yeah.
Totality, a symbol of fulfillment, wholeness, harmony. This lines up with what's happening in the story when Yu's persona ascends. He's literally becoming the savior of the world. Now look at Teddy's arcana, the star, which is associated with hope, self-confidence, faith, altruism, luck, generosity, peace, and joy. These match exactly with what we know about Teddy. He's all about cheering people on, getting along with others. But in addition to matching Teddy's personalities, these are the exact traits that he has to adopt for himself in his evolution from spontaneous and experienced
what is that?
Hero of the world. He needs to take the world's burdens upon himself. That, in many ways, is the ultimate in altruism and generosity. He also needs to become a symbol of hope as the world places their faith in him. Again, all features that Teddy already has and that you wouldn't have, but his shadow, his unacknowledged half, probably would. So taking all this evidence—
What? Wait, what? I just had a brain fart. Wait, what does that mean? So he's saying... That doesn't make sense, though. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, the Binding of Isaac. Oh, I'm stupid. Yeah, I still need to play that. That doesn't make any sense. Wait, so he's saying that the only reason, well, one of the reasons why Narukami gets the... How does he know that much? Did he play or did he not play through the game? Did he just go to, like, the wiki page? What happened? Because he knows He doesn't know about half the things that happens in the game, but he knows the fact that Narukami turns from the fool to the world, and he's saying that Teddy's the reason for that. Right? Was that what he said? But that also doesn't make sense because the same thing happens in Persona 5. The same thing happens in Persona 5 because what's the protagonist's name in P5? It's I keep forgetting his name. It's Ren Amamiya. It does the same thing. He does the same thing. The same thing happens.
Into consideration. I think here's
Akira Kurusu, yeah.
Yu was selected by the gods to receive his gift and the special persona. It left his true shadow, Teddy, with no home and no purpose.
The only one that's different, by the way, the only one that's different from my knowledge is Persona 3's protagonist, which instead of turning into the world, he turns into the universe, I'm pretty sure. Which is really cool.
It left Teddy free to develop into his own furry Kinder egg. It's how a confirmed former shadow
that's a cool art.
Is able to do the things shadows would never be able to do that we see Teddy do in this game, like cross into the real world and gain his own persona, get into the Velvet Room without a contract.
Again, if he was a shadow, he wouldn't be able to go into the real world, Matt.
Not only does theorizing that Teddy is Yu's shadow answer two of the game's biggest unsolved mysteries, it also fits with the game's arcana themes and overall game mechanics. As the true ending shows, Yu and Teddy share an unbreakable link. An unbreakable...
Okay. Let me think. Okay, this theory would make a little bit more sense if... okay, those who've played through the game. At the end of Persona 4, and Persona 5, coincidentally, the big bad of the game, God, or the respective god of each game, they start merging the other world into the real world, and then shadows and the fog of the TV world start like colliding with the real world, right? So much so that in P4 you have a special ending where if you fail to, I think it was like to capture Adachi within a certain number of days, you get a bad ending where one of your party members dies, because the shadow world has like completely just merged into the real world, right? That if that were the case throughout like the whole game, that will make a little bit more sense, because then like, oh, Teddy's crossing into the real world, but then again, like the two worlds are together, so that will make that will make a little bit more sense in my eyes, at least. But not in this case.
Social link, considering that Persona 4 is a game all about forming bonds with other people, but most importantly, forming bonds with yourself. I can't think of a better way to demonstrate exactly that. Well, outside of making it a bit more obvious so it doesn't take a theory 10 years after the fact to expose the truth. But hey, that's just a theory.
What is that?
A game theory. Thanks for watching.
The P4 Golden and P4 just anime in general are really funny. Matt, I love you. I love Matt Pat with all my heart, but this is just not it. This series just wasn't it. There's just a lot of wrong stuff that he says here. He at least tried. Oh, he actually had he has like a thing. Sorry, I screwed up with this one. In fact, in detail certainly, but also in ways that I didn't expect when writing it. And I don't want things to be taken the wrong way, so please let me clarify. Okay, I'm not reading all of this. I'm sorry. That's just way too much. Again, I do just want to like make this clear. Like, no hate towards Matt Pat. I love Matt Pat, dude. He was my childhood. He's awesome. But this theory there's just like a lot of wrong stuff that he said here. Objectively, there's just a lot of wrong stuff here.